There have been about 70 shootings at K-12 schools in Georgia between early 1970 and June of 2022. Now, this statistic is important because none of those shootings were as deadly as Wednesday's attack at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, which killed 4 and injured 9 others. 4 people were killed at this school shooting, 2 students and 2 teachers. 9 other people were also injured. Authorities said at least 1 was flown by helicopter to Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, one of the major trauma centers. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, calling attention again to the need for sensible gun control in the wake of this devastating school shooting. And today, also, the United States on Wednesday announced a broad effort to push back on Russia's influence campaigns in the 2024 election, trying to curb the Kremlin's use of state-run media and fake news sites to sway American voters. The actions include sanctions, indictments, and seizing of web domains that U.S. officials say the Kremlin uses to spread propaganda and disinformation about Ukraine, which Russia invaded more than 2 years ago. And on tomorrow, Thursday, Judge Chutkan, who is a federal court district judge, is set to decide what of the action against Donald Trump for election interference will remain. Donald Trump has filed a motion with the federal district court attempting to have his federal interference case dismissed in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision around immunity. This no-nonsense judge will take up Trump's motion and make a decision about which part of his case will remain. And a number of Jewish advocates are quick to note that Jewish voters are voting on an array of issues beyond Israel. And they are accusing Donald Trump of blatantly anti-Semitic and age-old tropes against them, suggesting some kind of dual loyalty for American Jews between the U.S. and the Jewish state. Even some of Donald Trump's allies on the right view the comments that he's making towards these Jewish lawmakers in particular as increasingly unhelpful in the broader effort to win over a small but meaningful number of Jewish voters in a close election. And good news out for the Kamala Harris campaign, because half of Gen Z voters say they'll vote for the vice president in November, while only 1/3 of those Gen Z voters say they'll vote for Donald Trump. Now, this is a bigger gap for the Democratic nominee than some other polls this year, but not quite at 2020 levels for the party. And Donald Trump is pressuring Republicans to shut down the government at the end of this month. That is, if Congress doesn't pass a GOP-backed proposal to establish new election rules nationwide. Trump has called on Republicans in Congress to link funding of the government with the SAVE Act. This is an act which would require proof of citizenship to vote. Now, this is in a bid to target non-citizen voting, which lawmakers say is already illegal. And they say we already have laws on the books which make it very clear that if you are a non-citizen, you cannot vote. House Republican leaders are considering adopting the strategy and picking a fight with Democrats. And if history remains the same, when the government is shut down, Republicans are the ones who will be blamed. And former Representative Liz Cheney, you all remember her, the one-time high-ranking Republican from Wyoming, who torpedoed her own political career by breaking with former President Trump. Well, today, she told law students at a Duke University event that she would be voting for Vice President Kamala Harris in November. And more good news for the Harris campaign, because economists at Goldman Sachs, that's one of those big Wall Street investment firms, they are projecting contrasting economic outcomes based on whether Trump or Harris wins the upcoming 2024 election. And to the surprise of many, their analysis suggests that the U.S. gross domestic product would face a significant downturn, not under Kamala Harris, but under a Trump administration. Goldman Sachs Group goes on to say that while a Harris victory might lead to moderate economic growth, they are clear that Donald Trump's ban on immigrants and tariffs on China will lead to a downturn in the economy. That's the news of the day, and this is Areva Martin in real time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. In this hour, I'm joined by my good buddy, Dr. Omikango Dabinga. You all have seen him on this show many, many times. He is a professional lecturer at American University. He's a best-selling author. He's a host himself. He frequently guest hosts for Roland Martin on his show, the Roland Martin Show, as well as other shows. You can see him giving political commentary. So super excited to be joined by Dr. Dabinga today in this hour. And in hour two, you know what we do? That's that hour where we go deep, where we dig behind those headlines and bring you stories that people are talking about. Well, yesterday, we alluded to some of the, I'll call online battles that were happening on social media over the long holiday weekend. Some of them involved actor and singer Tyrese, but some of the other battles involved a rapper, Ice Cube. Now, this rapper entrepreneur, he issued a video. He posted a video over the weekend. And in his video message, he was telling Black voters to stop giving away their votes without being guaranteed, he said, a policy that benefits the community as a whole. And as you can imagine, that video reignited debates on social media. Some folks even said Ice Cube was low-key telling Black voters not to vote. Others said even if he wasn't saying that directly, he was in fact confusing Black voters. Like, what do you mean guaranteeing us some kind of policy? And, you know, who are you talking about? Because if you're talking about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they've been out talking about economic policies, investments in historically Black colleges, investing in new homeowners and small businesses. So a lot of folks didn't quite know what Ice Cube was talking about, but not one to bite his tongue. Ice Cube hopped back on X, formerly known as Twitter, to shut down anyone who he said was accusing him of being in cahoots with Republicans or accusing him of trying to tell Black voters not to vote. He also went on to make the point that don't vote because people died for you to vote, because he says, well, for one, people may have died, but nobody walked out of their house to go die for you to vote. Now, this is his explanation. He said they were killed by probably some racists that don't want to see us get anything. He said, be skeptical of anybody telling you to vote and not telling you to ask for anything or to tell you to just vote because somebody died for your vote. So you can imagine that these comments have raised lots of additional comments. Some folks agreeing with him, saying, yes, that's right, Ice Cube, we should be getting what other communities get, and we should be demanding this, and other folks aren't afraid to ask for what they want, but Black folks, you know, just give away their votes. And there were others who are saying, really, Ice Cube, take a seat, sit down, shut up, you know, go somewhere and rap or run your basketball league or do whatever it is that you do. But please stop passing this bad and misinformation on to voters. And we know this year is so critical because Donald Trump is really trying to woo Black voters. So when you have Trump, you have Russians, you have other foreign operatives, you have folks like Tyrese and others on social media, it can get very confusing for Black voters, and particularly those Black men who might align themselves with Ice Cube and others like Ice Cube. So today, we're going to do a deep dive on, you know, what is Ice Cube really saying to Black voters? You know, is it legitimate? Is there anything to this? Make sure you're getting something in return for your vote theory that he has. So I invited my good friend Michael Blake. He's president of Next Level Sports and Entertainment. He's also the founder and CEO of Atlas Strategy Group. He's a former state rep for the state of New York, so he knows a little something about running a campaign. He's been actively involved in a lot of campaigns in his career. Also, Mondale Robinson is going to be here in hour two. He's the founder of the Black Male Voter Project. So these are two Black men who've been heavily involved in talking to Black voters, particularly Black men. They have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the Black community around voting. Michael has been one of the organizers of those Black men 40, 50,000 Zoom calls. So he's really been talking to Black voters. So make sure you stick around for hour two. We're going to get to the bottom of this ice cube. Make sure you get something in exchange for your vote theory. But before I bring Dr. DeBingo on, here's what I'm thinking about in real time. So Labor Day, big day for politics. Labor Day has come and gone. Typically, Labor Day is the day after which all campaigns go into high gear. They start to hire up if they haven't already hired their staff. They start to put people in key positions, key states. The ads will start to ramp up. It's just a big marker for the fact that we're 60 days or so out from the November election. Kids are back at school. Opposition research on candidates is starting to drop. All that opposition research that's been done that folks have been sitting on, they start to drop it because people after Labor Day start to look at races and start to think critically about who they are going to vote for. So let's talk today about the North Carolina governor's race. That's a race that we've been tracking because North Carolina is a state that's in play. Kamala Harris could win North Carolina. We know Trump narrowly carried that state. And so far, the numbers look like kind of a basic tie. Trump maybe slightly ahead in North Carolina. But there's another race in North Carolina, the governor's race, that's getting a lot of attention. And that race is getting real ugly real fast. In just 24 hours, the Republican candidate for governor, his name is Mark Robinson. If you haven't seen him yelling and screaming at people, just Google him. You'll find lots of videos. He's an extremist. He is an extremist that Donald Trump has embraced, has wrapped his arms around, has said, this is my guy. He's been on stage with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is telling voters to vote for Mark Robinson. But his candidate, Mark Robinson, is facing some pretty, I won't even call them strange allegations, because we've seen these kind of allegations against other Republican candidates. And we've seen the Republican Party say, look, we've got to pick better candidates. We just can't pick these guys and women that win the primary and then go down in flames in the general because they're too extreme and they're too problematic. Well, they did it again because Mark Robinson has already been accused of regularly visiting a video porn shop in the 1990s and 2000s. And his wife is being accused of trying to stiff the Girl Scouts. Yes, the Girl Scouts out of $3,000 worth of those delicious Girl Scout cookies that we all buy and love. All right. This is already on top of allegations that while acting as a middle school man for schools trying to get funding to provide lunches, that Robinson allegedly skimmed some of the cash. Yes, he was out working, trying to raise money for school lunches. And they say he was taking these companies to lunch by skimming this cash. Now, as a part of his campaign, Mark Robinson, who's been called MAGA's Great Black Hope. That's how he's being described, as MAGA's Great Black Hope. Derogatory, yes, it is. So let's just call it what it is. He has crusaded to remove what he considers pornography. He makes lots of references to the LGBTQ community. He wants to remove all references from or regarding that community from schools and public libraries because he says it grooms and indoctrinates youngsters. So let's just take a look at that. Here's a guy who says he wants all pornography, all references to gay people removed from public schools and libraries. And somebody came with the receipts to show this is the same guy that has been visiting. I think they say like daily he was visiting this porn shop. Whew. Now, in most polls, he is trailing the Democratic candidate for governor in North Carolina, Josh Steins, by 6 to 10 points. And GOP analysts are worried, as they should be. They are concerned that his poor showing could put the state in play for Democrats, including Kamala Harris. And the polling could even get worse for Mark Robinson now that we know he likes porn, now that we know that he has been stealing money when he should be giving it to kids for school lunches, now that we know his wife has a problem with paying the Girl Scouts money that she owes them for cookies. Wow, it's going to be a rough ride for Mark Robinson because apparently these 24-hour video porn stores one is called Gents Video and News. Apparently, they have the receipts on this guy who would visit, this guy, Mark Robinson, who visited their store regularly. So another lesson to Republicans, please, if you want to win elections, and God, you don't need advice from me, but common sense says if you want to win elections, you don't go out and select the guy who is visiting a porn shop when a part of his platform is to do away with porn. So strap up, everybody. It's going to be a rough and tumble 60 days. And we're going to keep our eyes on this Mark Robinson, because hopefully he does go down in flame as he deserves to, and that North Carolina becomes a purple state, and that Kamala Harris wins, and that Josh Stein becomes the next governor of the great state of North Carolina. When we come forward, more of today's breaking and trending news right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us.
Mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back, and Dr. Omikango Dibinga is joining me in this hour. Thank you so much, Dr. Dibinga, for being here. I don't know. You can't make this stuff up with these Republicans. Is Mark Robinson like, I don't know how. He's the lieutenant governor. So he has been elected statewide in that state. I don't know how.
Apathy, people just not paying attention like they should, like the way that they are now. And, even when we talk about like this whole situation with the porn thing, it's like, be honest about who you are. Like, if that's what you do, then don't be a hypocrite in terms of what you're going against. And, I was reading some of the articles and someone said, well, I don't really know how he feels about, this was the guy from the porn shop. He's like, I don't know how he feels about gay people, but I'm pretty sure he likes lesbians, based on the things he used to buy. So it's like, it's the hypocrisy that keeps coming back in these Republicans' face. And one of the things that I'm seeing is like, Republicans could be winning so many elections locally, statewide, nationally, if they had candidates with character, right? If they had, even if we don't agree on their positions on whether it's abortion, whether it's, the military, small government, if they just had people with character, I don't even know if Vice President Harris, I think she could still win against whoever their best candidate was. But I'm saying they make it so much easier by having these guys who have no character, who are hypocrites, who flip-flop in every way, shape, or form. And I'm hoping after this election, I don't want them to get it together now, but I'm hoping after November, they figure out a way to salvage their party, because now that the spotlight is finally on these guys, and I think Project 2025 has really helped shed the spotlight on these guys, because a lot of non-political people are engaged now because of things like Project 2025. They're talking about at the dinner table, barbershops and stuff. I think these guys are in real trouble. And so I'm hoping that he loses and loses big, as well as all of these people that Trump is endorsing.
Yes, 6 to 10 point deficit is a huge deficit going into an election with things getting worse. This just dropped. Like I said, this op research, Dems have had it.
Yes.
And the guy with the porn shop has had these receipts. So they've just been sitting on it to drop it at the opportune time. And now is that time. And I love that guy says, I don't know what he thinks about gay men, but we know he likes women, because he's obviously, getting porn videos of women engaged in sexual activity together. And, you're a consenting adult. If you want to watch porn. But don't, like you said, don't be a hypocrite and talk about taking it out of schools and libraries and like you're so self-righteous. And he's always standing in front of some pulpit preaching to people as if he's, some godly man. And no better for the Republicans, because the few sensible Republicans that are left, and I'm going to even put Mitch McConnell slightly in this category, because Mitch has warned them about these extremists, saying you pick these guys that get through the primary because they're just these Trumpian MAGA candidates, but they're so flawed that the general public is not going to vote for them, even the general public that happens to be Republican. Who wants that embarrassment as their governor? Do you think women in North Carolina, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat, wants this guy? You mess with the Girl Scout? Like, who messes with
Girl Scouts?
You can't mess with the Girl Scouts and be the governor of any state in this country. So Mitch warned them, but they keep doing it because they all think they're Donald Trump, and they all think they can yell and scream and be tough and, exude all that masculine, that toxic masculinity, and that's going to win elections. And they're just slowly and surely being shown that American people are far smarter than this. But let's spend some time, Doc, talking about the school shooting. 14-year-old perpetrator, the kid. I don't even want to use that word. The kid who has been arrested. They're already saying it's going to be tried as an adult. I don't feel good about that. I mean, I feel horrible for those students that lost their lives. I feel horrible for those teachers, anybody in that school. School just started. So our kids, rather than being excited about the school year, this is a high school, they have to worry about these types of events happening. And it doesn't matter if you're in a rural place in Georgia or an urban city, in the Northeast. These shootings are so common, and we're going to hear from Republicans thoughts and prayers. Their playbook over and over again.
Yes, it's really sad. And it's just a reminder of how much we have failed at our children. I've been teaching at the university level for 15 years or so. And every year, these kids who are coming in, they're teaching us about like safety drill stuff, because they've been doing gun drills and shooting drills since they were 3 years old. And so, when we were their age, it was fire drills and things like that. And, before that, it was like, nuclear things or whatever, hiding under tables, fallout stuff. But now it's like they've been doing this since they were 3. And now they're old enough where they can be victims of multiple school shootings. They could have experienced it in elementary and middle school, high school, and now in college. So that's one thing that's really frustrating. Another thing that's really frustrating, particularly as it relates to Georgia, is that people like, oh, maybe hope somebody like these other states, they'll hold the parents accountable. But hold them accountable for what? Because Georgia has no laws about, locking up your guns. They have no laws about, whether teens can possess guns. That they have no laws in any way. They've installed permitless carry against the advice of law enforcement. And so they have made it easier in every way, shape, and form for people to get access to guns. And so I can't see any consequences that are going to come for their parents. We'll see what happens when this kid gets tried. But this is shameful. And people are praising the fact that law enforcement did its job. They confronted the kid and he surrendered, but it never should have got to this point. It never should have got to this point. And I'm tired of people saying thoughts and prayers, and now's not the time. Now is exactly the time. Coming up on this election is exactly the time, because we can get leaders in office. I forget is it Collins, the guy who's a representative for that area, has 100% rating of some of these gun places, 92% rating with the NRA. This is what they want, and this is what they're getting. But in a few months, we have an opportunity to really get people in office who will make a stand. I was at the White House for an event where I saw the man who runs the Office on Gun Prevention Violence, and he's a gun shooting survivor. So, we have an administration that is serious about this, and a VP Harris administration that, as president, will continue to fight for things like this to not happen anymore.
Yeah, it's really, really sickening. The good news out of this, and there's no good news out of the school shooting, but this poll that says Gen Z voters are breaking for Kamala Harris. And I think this incident, unfortunately, will probably, motivate more young people, those that are 18 and over, to see the importance of voting for a candidate like that. And as you said, voting for congressional candidates, state representatives, because these are state legislatures that are enacting these bizarre gun laws. Everybody gets a gun. Everybody gets a gun. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, no training, no license, no nothing. And it's really, really sickening. And, the solution is always more guns. We'll give guns to the teachers. We'll give guns to the janitors. We'll give guns to the bus drivers. Just guns, guns, guns. And we've tried that for years and years and years. And this is what it gets us. So, again, thoughts and our prayers to those families, and also encouraging those young people to stand up against those legislators that will not do the right thing on this issue. When we come forward, we got to talk about this race, because it is heating up, and it's after Labor Day, and we're going to see so many more bombshells like what's happening in this North Carolina governor's race. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580, when we come forward.
Right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The White House says enough is enough when it comes to school shooting. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who is Black, said both President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have been briefed on the Georgia high school shooting that killed 4 and injured at least 9 others this morning. She added that while the President and Vice President have taken action to reduce gun violence, more must be done. Jean-Pierre said the White House continues to urge Congress to take action, like instituting a universal background check and a ban on assault weapons. Baltimore is receiving millions of dollars from a settlement over e-cigarettes. The city filed suit against Juul Labs in 2020, alleging its products and deceptive marketing campaigns aimed at minors endangered the health of residents. Under the agreement, Juul has the option of making a single payment of $7.5 million by the end of 2024, or 3 payments totaling $8 million over the next 3 years. Black Mayor Brandon Scott notes Baltimore opted out of a global settlement that would have paid the city only $1.9 million. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Still got a SIG alert on the 101 in Silver Lake. It's the southbound side right there at Silver Lake Boulevard. Stalled fire engine blocking the right 2 lanes. It's jammed up all the way back from Hollywood Boulevard. Near Elysian Park, the 5 southbound right before the 110. We've got a crash there on the right shoulder. Things are slow from Griffith Park Drive. And look out in the Lawndale area, 405 southbound right before Inglewood Avenue. Stall there in the right lane. Things are slow back from Century Boulevard.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
USC made a big jump in this week's Associated Press Top 25 college football rankings. After Sunday's impressive win over LSU in Vegas, the Trojans moved up from number 23 to number 13. The Trojans are one of 5 teams in the new Big Ten Conference that are ranked among the top 15. USC is back on the field Saturday night at home against Utah State. A heartwarming development today out of Buffalo, New York. Buffalo Bills free safety Damar Hamlin will be in the starting lineup Sunday against Arizona. The nation still remembers the cardiac arrest Hamlin suffered in Cincinnati during that Monday night game on January 2nd, 2023. Hamlin has made a remarkable recovery to become a starter again. Hamlin started 13 games in 2022. He appeared in only 5 games last season while medical personnel monitored his progress. Congrats to Hamlin and continued good health. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to number 1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today. Environmental justice is racial justice.
Environmental justice is social justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We're back, and in this hour, Dr. Omi Kongo Dabinga is joining me in hour 2. We're going to be talking about the social media back and forth that happened over the weekend involving the rapper and entrepreneur Ice Cube. He did a video saying, Black voters, stop giving away your votes, start demanding, start making sure that you are guaranteed something in exchange for your vote. For a lot of people, that's a really confusing statement. Not sure what he means. Others see it as a way to discourage Black people from voting. We know Donald Trump is making a big play for Black voters, particularly Black men. So we're going to talk to Michael Blake. He is the CEO of Atlas Strategy Group. He's been involved in these Black male Zoom calls. He's a former state rep from New York. And Mondale Robinson, he's the founder of the Black Male Voter Project, to see what they think about this whole dust up, I'll call it, with Ice Cube. Let's talk, though, Dr. Debinga, about Kamala Harris. She is on fire. She released a small business plan today that is about helping small businesses, many of whom are Black. She acknowledges that small businesses are the backbone of the economy. This new plan, she's trying to do a tenfold expansion of tax relief for starting a small business, expanding the startup expense deduction for small businesses on your tax returns from $5,000 to $50,000. She's trying to cut unnecessary red tape for small businesses to file their taxes. She has set a goal of 25 million new business applications in her first term, exceeding the record of 19 million in the Biden-Harris administration. She wants to help existing small businesses grow by providing low and no interest loans. They want to expand. She wants to boost access to venture capital. She wants to make the tax code more fair. And she will ensure, she says, that investments go to small businesses throughout America that have often been overlooked. So, she gets a lot of flack by people saying, we don't know what her policies are. She's not talking about her policy. It's just, joy, 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 joy. And then she comes out with this very, very detailed policy. And I just gave you the details of it because I'm on a mailing list where I get, everything she does. But I'm perusing now my, major papers. And of course, the shooting is top of the line for, I'm looking now at, the New York Times. And it does have an article to their credit that says Harris proposes new tax plan breaking with Biden. This has to do with the capital gains. It doesn't, it's not specifically on that issue, but I just want to know what you think of this plan and how she's trying to position herself as the president that's going to support small businesses.
Well, the fact of the matter is every big business started as a small business. I mean, look at how Steve Jobs, they started out with Apple. I mean, this is how businesses start. And to provide these types of incentives, it's amazing. And to be quite honest, I know you're talking, Ice Cube and Tyrese in like the next hour, but this is also connected because she's putting out the information, everything people say she needs to do, the interviews, the tax plan, more specifics on the economics. She's putting it out there, but she's battling against a system of ignorance, of misinformation and disinformation, who are going to say, well, she's just doing that because now she wants this, or, don't just give your vote away. And, without asking for this and that. What Black people who vote have never put demands on the politicians they vote for, right? And so what I love about what Vice President Harris is doing with this plan is that, particularly, just a few years out of the pandemic ending, I mean, not even a few years, it's kind of been like a year really, but she's asking people to get out there and fight again for the things that they believe in terms of those businesses they want to start. As business owners ourselves, we've seen people go out of business. We've seen people lose their homes, lose finances, lose all of these things and not recover, especially, many Black businesses that suffered the most in the beginning. And so people who want to, as she always says, this opportunity economy, people who really feel like who believe her when she says, we want people to get ahead. This is what it looks like. This is her putting the policy to the words that she's talking about. And then when you couple this with her housing policy as well, how can people say she does not have an agenda that's going to help the middle class and those who are not at the middle class just yet? And so if you really want, and again, you don't even have to go into the weeds of all of this. She's making it clear that she's trying to protect small businesses. She's trying to have more small businesses start. And again, don't compare her plan with the almighty. Compare her with the alternative. A man who has consistently stiffed small businesses and is doing everything he can to uphold and uplift the rich and wealthy big business people who already have theirs. That's who he's trying to protect. And this is who she's trying to protect. And it couldn't be more clear.
You know, it's funny because I laugh because, as you said, trying to protect small businesses, I keep thinking about the Girl Scouts. I mean, that is such a deep story. That's how a lot of young girls become entrepreneurs, right? Your first foray into business is out there selling those cookies, standing on those corners with your, adult supervision, going door to door with adult supervision, or having your mother take the cookies to her job, or your father take the cookies to his job, competing for those prizes. So, that is such a
you don't disrespect the military, and you don't disrespect the Girl Scouts, and the Boy Scouts, like that's sacred. You know what I mean? It's like they don't care.
Yeah, back to those policies, though, I'm reading a text from a Black man that I know, and he says the Democratic Party seems to have left a lot of people behind, and I'm one of them. I think this is paid because it has that kind of ring to it. And then he goes on to say that the campaign leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to economic policy, particularly for millennials and Black families grappling with inflation. He said Democrats' affordable housing plans don't sufficiently address housing supply issues, but then they don't ever go on to tell us, as you said, what is the comparable plan for Donald Trump? Where is the Donald Trump plan that includes Black people, addresses the economic issues of Black people? All we know that Donald Trump wants to do is to give more tax cuts to the wealthy, and even Goldman Sachs, the big boys, the wealthy people, the investment bankers, the white privilege class said Donald Trump would be worse for the economy. And you know what's so striking about that statement, Dr. Dominga, is they say one of the reasons is because of his ban on immigration.
Yes.
Help us make sense of that. So here are the wealthiest people in the country, the bankers saying, I know y'all don't like immigrants, Republicans, but we need immigrants to grow this, gross domestic product, our GDP.
That is so true. And when you look at it, Reagan, we had so many issues with Reagan as relates to, the civil rights record, in the United States. But one of the things that he often talked about was, pro-immigration. He talked about how, how he felt immigrants helped build the country in so many different ways. And now you got this Republican Party having, mass deportations now signs at the RNC. And so the fact of the matter is, some of these people who start these businesses or these large businesses were immigrants or children of immigrants who didn't come here, with a lot. So they've lived the experience as well. And so how can you actually have a society that's looking at getting rid of immigrants? And not only that, they are trying to recreate policies like Operation, it's a slur, Operation Wetback from the 50s, where they got rid of, people who are immigrants, but they also got rid of American citizens in that process as well. And they're trying to repeat things like that. They're trying to have programs where if you are undocumented, you can't stay with your spouse in this country, if you're married or if they're searching for work and all of these different things to continually separate families. They are so hostile towards immigrants. And we know it's primarily going to be, Latino immigrants, because folks from Sweden and folks from Norway and all of these places, they let them in with no problems. But the fact of the matter is that they can't even understand that fundamental disconnect as well. I mean, every day Donald Trump's mistaking asylum seekers with insane asylums. Like, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. But the fact of the matter is, this is within Project 2025. They want to get rid of anybody who is not like them. They're not like us. Like, that's what they want to do. And immigration is a big key to that. So the fact that these Republicans don't understand that they don't even want to just talk about, okay, if you're here legally, they don't even want to make a distinction anymore. They want to remove as many people as possible. And folks who might be affected by that, AOC talked about that at the convention or in another interview, her community is going to be the most affected by that, the Latino community. I know that that's not the only issue that's facing them, but this is something that should be priority as it relates to Trump and how they're going to come for them.
Well, this report says that the economists underscored the importance of immigration as a driver of employment growth in the U.S. economy. They estimated that under a Harris administration, immigration could contribute 10,000 more jobs per month to labor force growth compared to a Trump administration with divided government. The difference would be even more pronounced if Republicans won both the White House and Congress. So they're more concerned that if Trump is in office and then the Republicans control the House, they will double down on these immigration bans, and it will lead to the loss of economic growth and economic jobs.
Areva, you're seeing it in Florida. Look what's happening to Ron DeSantis, right? And guys, and leaving work, because they're afraid of what they're going to do to them. Look what's happening in Texas with the governors, shipping people to different states. These guys who are you're citing, they are seeing it happen in real time in many of these states.
Yeah. This is crazy. When Goldman Sachs says that the Black woman Democrat is better for the economy than the white would-be billionaire, everybody better stand up and pay attention, including Ice Cube and all these other folks that got all this to say, because you don't see this kind of news every day. This is news.
Right.
This is the news that should be all plastered everywhere for folks to say, okay, you don't know her economic plan, but let me tell you what those people who study our economy for a living, they know the plan, and they're worried, as they should be. When we come forward, Liz Cheney is back in the news. She's at Duke University, and she's talking some tough talk at Duke University to those students. Stay with us when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, Dr. Debinga, Liz Cheney is back in the news.
Yes.
She is telling students at Duke University the choice is clear for her. She doesn't have to equivocate, think about it, or reflect on it too long because she knows she is voting for Kamala Harris. This is huge. We got a lot of big stories today. This is another big story because a lot of Republicans will say, I'm not voting for Donald Trump. But to go that next step and say, not only am I not voting for him, I'm voting for the Democrat, and I'm telling other people that I'm voting for the Democrat. That just goes to show where we are in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, her Judge Ludig, people like that. Like, I was really wondering whether Liz Cheney was actually going to come out and actually do that. I thought that people were going to say, she's done enough. She said she's going to do everything to make sure Trump can't win. She, the commission, she lost, she gave up her political seat, to fight for democracy, and that people were like, it's enough. But and I was like, but the final stretch has to be, if you're all in to save democracy, you got to vote for the person who's going to save democracy. And so for her to do that and say that, I mean, lots of props, lots of respect for her to go that far. But again, I appreciate the fact that people like her and Judge Ludig and others have given these Republicans a permission structure to allow them to cross the aisle. Like one of them said at the convention, voting for Kamala Harris doesn't make you a Democrat, it makes you a patriot. And that's what we need right now. We need all hands on deck. And like I said, after this election, they can start to figure out how to salvage the Republican Party, gather the Michael Steeles of the world who stayed in the party, never left it, figure it out. But right now, all hands on deck to save this democratic process. And I've given her a lot of props for what she's done already. But this is the final step that we all need to take, and she's doing it.
Yeah, we are seeing some profiles encouraged. We often talk about that and talk about those Republicans, but this lady gave it up. She gave up everything. When she was on that commission investigating January 6th, drilling, the only Republican, mind you, drilling those involved, calling out Donald Trump and his role in that, she knew that she would not get through one of these tough primaries that I'm talking about. But she also knew she had a bright future. She knew that there would be lots of people who would, still value her as, a former elected official, congresswoman who have been instrumental in exposing the January 6th insurrection and exposing Trump's role in it. And I think, we got a lot of folks that are going to go down in history as cowards. Folks like Lindsey Graham, who continue to stand by Donald Trump, who continue to, try to persuade him to stick to the points and not make personal attacks as if he's capable of doing that.
Right.
We know that he's not. Tim Scott. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But there are a couple of these Republicans who, this is Dick Cheney's daughter. You don't get
that's what I'm saying.
Family, right?
Yep.
They're hardcore Republicans through and through. So this is a huge.
Maybe Dick Cheney will come out.
Well, I've been seeing this social media post that's talking to Republicans, saying to Republican white women, saying your husband doesn't have to know who you vote for. So telling people you don't have to be public. Put the sign in your yard. Do whatever it is that you think your neighbors may want to see or may want you to do. But you can quietly protest and quietly not vote to have a man who literally, September 18th, this other judge, a merchant in this state court, is going to have to decide what to do with Donald Trump.
Yep.
Do I sentence him now, knowing that there will be those who will say this is all a political witch hunt? Does he delay it to after the election, knowing that special treatment that no other defendant that's been convicted of 34 felony counts would get? So, he places everybody that he comes into contact with in such a conundrum. We don't know what that judge is going to do, but we know he's going to have to make some decision. We know Judge Chuckin in that federal case is going to have to make some decision. But all of these decisions just remind us, Doc, that Trump is such a chaos, agent that having him back in the White House it's almost hard to believe what that would look like.
Yeah, it's scary. And, this Arlington Cemetery incident was a reminder that wherever he goes, him and his followers, violence can follow or has the potential to follow. And he is a chaos candidate. And every single thing he does, it burns to the ground. That's his mindset. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's going to do to this country. A man who's acquired more debt under his presidency than like presidents over like the last 20 or 24 years combined. There is nothing about this man that suggests he wants to build America for everybody. He doesn't believe in service. He doesn't believe in the military. He doesn't believe in immigration. He doesn't believe in anything. And all he's running for right now is to stay out of prison. That is his goal, and he'll do anything to make that happen.
Including, I'm glad you bring that Arlington Cemetery matter up, because John McCain's son has come out. It's been such backlash by veterans and families of veterans about how he just disgraces everything that he touches. He doesn't care. It was a photo op. They come out of the cemetery, that sacred part where they should not have been allowed to have photos. He attacks the worker, the government worker. One of his staff members says she was having a mental breakdown. I mean, they just the violence against her, causing the government. One thing about Donald Trump is very clear: he doesn't love America. And I'm so glad that Kamala Harris and the Harris-Walz team has redefined what it means to be a patriot, and not running away from America. Like, we own a stake in this country as well, and he doesn't get to just wrap himself in the flag and be the only person that's gets to define patriotism. So that was what was so beautiful about the DNC, was all of that focus and effort and language and imagery on patriotism that would have otherwise been the sole purview of the Republicans.
That's right.
Not so in this DNC. Just real quickly before I let you go, what are you hoping? Like, give me 2 words. What are you hoping to see Kamala Harris do next week in that debate?
Destroy him.
Okay.
I take it to him. That's what I want to see. Prosecute that man for real.
Yeah, it's gonna be such an interesting debate. Well, everybody will be glued to it. It's probably gonna have some of the highest ratings ever for a presidential debate, and we have no doubt that Kamala Harris will prevail. I'm gonna have you back, obviously, after those debates to do our post-debate breakdown. But thank you so much, Dr. DeBing. Always a pleasure to be in conversation with you. When we come forward, we're gonna be talking about black males who are on the pulse, have their fingers on the pulse of black male voting. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.